Welcome Scorpio to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 20th of May for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week, which provides some important pointers, not least the position of the Moon. That's tucked up in house 12. That can give us a desire to be a little bit more protective, even withdraw a little bit, but it is in an opposition with Mars, your traditional ruler. Now Mars is very close to the North Node, and that combination suggests if you're clear on the physical things you want to achieve this week, you could be quite busily cracking on with them before too long. But what about the Moon? Well, if there is some concerns or anxieties or a little bit of a dip in your emotional energy, that could in some ways just take the edge off that passion that Mars can give you. But what I would say is you could get some encouragement from someone else as this week begins, because last week, if you recall, Mercury moved into your 7th house, which is a great location for it to be, but it did clash with your modern ruler. There may have been a tense conversation. It may have felt that someone was only prepared to talk about how they saw a situation rather than listening to how you felt, which could have been really frustrating, particularly as at the moment with Venus and Jupiter in your 7th house, you're probably more than happy to be a little bit more availing to the other person's take. And as this week begins, Mercury is still in touch in that square, so there may be something that you just need to be mindful of maintaining your boundaries around, because there are times when we can be too much of a people pleaser for sure. But the great thing was that when last week came to a close, there was a Jupiter cazimi. Now, because Jupiter has been in Taurus for a year and it's coming to the end of its journey in Jupiter, this year the cazimi happens at the end of its time in your opposite sign. But this still can give you an interesting uplift when it comes to your connections or collaborations with other people or one person in particular over the next 12 months. But just who? And that's what this week's story as we go forwards is really going to ask you to explore, because the Sun moves on Tuesday into your 8th house, followed by Venus on Thursday, followed by Jupiter on Saturday. The 8th house, ironically, has a flavour of the energies and archetype of your sign. It's very much about a deep discovery. It's not necessarily what we see more superficially. It's how things feel. It can be very much to do with transformations. Sometimes things can come to a close in life, as we all know, but those endings can be followed by new beginnings. But then some things that are going well can just get deeper and more devoted and more committed, and it just depends on where you are in that whole process. So it could be around a business situation that a partnership can go from strength to strength with this week's energies. It could be something that is connected to someone that you're pretty close to. It may even be a family member, or it could be a service that you're offering that is a domestic product or is helping people in your local community. But as the week goes on, the opposite can be true. If you're feeling that something has run its course, you may be thinking that you want to leave it. But there can also be developments around physical property. If you're renovating, redecorating, or you're wanting to raise funding, if you're wanting to remortgage, or perhaps you're wanting to get the money together for a more entrepreneurial project, your ability to connect well and skillfully with others is all going to be really important to that. But this is where your modern ruler is so influential this week, because the full moon that occurs on Thursday is all about balancing the ins and outs of your budget. And because you're wanting to perhaps really get your longer term financial situation working properly, it needs to feel right for you emotionally. And that part of you that's so perceptive, sometimes you don't even need to have a conversation to know exactly how things are lined up. And I think there could be a flavour of that this week. So whether you're in, it's getting deeper, better, closer, perhaps even more sensual in a romantic context, or you're getting to the point where you're wanting to release yourself from a situation that isn't working, or you're developing something practical around a property or a business, or you're wanting to be much more flexible and creative around long-term resources, there's a lot of potential this week. It can be for growth, it could be for some endings, but it definitely is going to see a transformation at some very powerful level for you. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Scorpio. Have a great week, and if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now.